Hello, everyone, and welcome back to American Ultras Talk. The USMNT just had one of the best performances in their history, just beating Uruguay 5-1 under Mauricio Pochettino in what I can only describe as an absolutely unbelievable match and an unbelievable performance that I don't think any of us saw coming. It has been an incredible turnaround recently under Pochettino. I think it's very fair to say that a lot of the fan base, myself included, were becoming very skeptical of him as his tenure progressed. Obviously, we had that disaster back in March in the Nations League that knocked us out, seeing us finish 4th out of 4 in those semifinals. And then, of course, over the summer, losing to Turkey and then getting absolutely embarrassed by Switzerland at home before barely squeaking by some not so great countries in the Gold Cup, and then ultimately getting outclassed by Mexico in the final. Then we had that loss to South Korea, and it just looked like everything was going wrong for the USMNT. We had players not showing up to camp over the summer. We had Pochettino calling up guys that I think a lot of people probably weren't happy with. But then he turns it around. We go to a 3-back, and we have that result against Japan. Yes, it was Japan's B team, but that is what kickstarted everything, a 2-0 win over them. Then we have last camp. We come in, we draw Ecuador 1-1, and despite the draw, I think it was a huge positive performance. We dominated them. We were definitely the better team, and that was the first goal Ecuador had conceded going back to March of this year. So really an incredible performance there. And then in that same window, we go and beat Australia 2-1. Haji Wright with the brace, another good performance. Christian Roldan comes in with a masterclass somehow. And then this camp, we beat Paraguay 2-1. Gio Reyna finally cements himself as back with a goal and basically an assist to Balogun. And now Uruguay, we have this unbelievable performance with a lineup that I think is best described by, if you look at the lineup before the game started, I think it's very fair to say that it was a group of guys, besides Matt Freese, because he is pretty much cemented in as the USMNT number one. He's played every game under Poch, basically, since he came into the team at least. I think it's very fair to say that Poch has utmost confidence in him. But the rest of the 10, the outfield players, I think it's very fair to say that this was their last chance to cement themselves as part of the USMNT going forward for the last part of this cycle, which of course is the camp in March, and then a camp in May, and then of course the big one, the World Cup at home over the summer. And wow, they delivered. Absolutely incredible performance from all of them. It's honestly, I have almost no words. So let's just talk about the goals before we get into the individual players. The first one, Sebastian Berhalter, absolutely beautiful free kick. I mean, we saw over the summer some hints of what he can do from set pieces. He is a set piece specialist. That is one of the reasons he is in the team. The other one is his heart, though. I mean, you saw how much that goal meant to him, his first goal for the USMNT, and you saw in the celebration just how happy he was to be able to score for his country. And we need more guys with a mentality like that. And I even said this over the summer. I was not sure whether or not he was a USMNT quality player, but his mentality was something that I wanted in the entire roster. And it looks like he's here to stay, and it looks like that mentality is here to stay as well, which is beautiful. It has to be said, Haji Wright, really well done to earn that free kick. Because it was just really good striker play from him, getting the ball out wide, beating his man, drawing the foul in a very dangerous position. And Sebastian Berhalter did his best Toni Kroos impression, if you remember that free kick from the 2018 World Cup against Sweden. He plays it short to Dest. Dest taps it back to him, and then Berhalter with a beautiful hit from a very tough angle to make it 1-0 early. And then Berhalter at it again with another set piece. This time, turning provider with the corner, playing it back post. Alex Freeman leaps up, showing that incredible athleticism. I don't know if you've heard it mentioned or not, but his dad was in the NFL. It's not like they say it about a million times every single USMNT broadcast. Great leap, great header, great service from Berhalter, and it's 2-0. Another first international goal for the USMNT, this time for Alex Freeman. And we were dominating Uruguay. They had one shot that was off the bar from long range. It was a very well hit strike. But that was really the only time they threatened us up to this point. And then Alex Freeman makes it 3-0. And it just goes to show how deep Mauricio Pochettino has made this USMNT pool. He has called up 71 different players under his tenure. And I think it's interesting because under Greg Berhalter, we were always so critical of his rosters, which is funny because I think if you go back and look at the players that he was selecting versus the players that Pochettino has been selecting, I think it is kind of general consensus now that Greg was actually selecting the quote-unquote better players. But the problem with Greg is he had his guys, he wouldn't experiment. He kept calling up the same groups of people with like 2 or 3 players that I think we all saw probably should not have been with the USMNT, and he kept playing them and he wouldn't change, and ultimately he got it wrong. Pochettino has shown that he is very, very willing to adapt, to mix things up. He brings players into the team that a lot of us probably would have never even thought to call up, for better or for worse. It looks like this time it was for better. And now he has scouted basically the entire pool, which was one of the main criticisms coming into his tenure. For the first camp or two, it looked like he was kind of just having the rosters picked for him by USSF. It looked like he wasn't really bothering to look outside of the guys that were with the team, but he's done his research. He's called up pretty much every single guy that he wants to look at, and now he has his solidified group. Well, maybe we'll see. Video coming soon predicting the World Cup roster, because there's going to be a lot of tough decisions for Pochettino to make. But back to my original point, this entire point is about Tim Tillman, because he's a guy who I don't think any of us would have called up, and to be honest, I still don't think he's USMNT quality. He had a pretty decent performance. We'll get to that in a minute, but he makes an incredible tackle to win the ball high up the pitch. It goes out to Austin Trusty. He plays a very highly aware first-time ball to Alex Freeman, and then Freeman just doing his best Pulisic impression, dancing through 2 to 3 defenders from Uruguay, and then scoring to make it 2 goals on the night for him, a brace and an incredible performance by the Orlando City man, who I think has all but cemented himself as a roster lock for the World Cup. And it didn't stop there. Diego Luna making it 4-0 before halftime. Austin Trusty again playing the ball to John Tolkien, and then Tolkien playing it to Tim Tillman. And then Tim Tillman again involved, tries to play across. It's deflected a little bit, but Diego Luna is there to get the rebound and finishes 4-0. And we're all in dreamland. And then Uruguay, with, it has to be said, hands off, a beautiful goal. Jorge de Rascaeta with a bicycle kick, the Flamengo man. That made me a little bit happy as a Flamengo fan, especially since we were already up 4-0. Beautiful goal from, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in all of world football. The Brazilian league doesn't get as much credit as it deserves, and he has been absolutely bossing it for so many years now. Happy to see him score an incredible goal on the international stage. But that's halftime, 4-1. I would say probably the best half of football I've ever seen from the USMNT. And obviously there have been performances in the past that have been pretty good, but I think at least in recent history, I can't think of one better, especially when you factor in the opponent. Yeah, we've beaten up occasionally on some pretty bad CONCACAF opponents, and you could say, yeah, those were pretty good halves, but considering the quality of Uruguay, it's unbelievable. I don't think they've conceded 5 since 1986, I believe was a stat that someone told me. Maybe that stat's wrong. I don't know, but that's what someone told me, and I think it just is a testament to how well Pochettino has these guys playing and how much he has them believing, finally, in the crest, in themselves, in the national team. And then we make it 5-1, sorry. In the second half, we make some subs, and it was, again, good awareness by Pochettino. One of the main criticisms I had for him over the summer was his in-game management, because he wouldn't make subs until the end of the game when it was too late. Our players were clearly tired, and the subs who replaced them didn't have a lot of time to make an impact. Well, Pochettino makes subs at the perfect time. It looked like the game was kind of stagnating, and yeah, it's to be expected when we're already up 4-1, but you could tell, especially if you looked at Pochettino's face after the fourth goal went in, he wanted more. He wasn't satisfied with the performance. He wanted to keep going the full 90 minutes, and he makes the subs. Balogun, Reina, and Tessman come on for Haji, Luna, and Serginho Dest, and it's an instant impact from the subs. Gio Reyna plays a beautiful, absolutely perfectly placed ball into Tanner Tessman, who scores his first international goal. It's a big night of first international goals for the U.S. With a great header, beating the keeper who got stuck in no man's land. I'm not sure what he was trying to do coming out there. And on a personal note as well, it's just so satisfying seeing these players, Alex Freeman and Tanner Tessman, score goals. I mean, last season, if you believe it or not, Alex Freeman was playing MLS Next Pro. He wasn't even getting MLS minutes for Orlando City. And seeing him in that league, it was so evidently clear that he was far and away the best player in that league. I was campaigning for him to get MLS minutes with Orlando. I still don't understand how they didn't play him sooner, but he gets it. Was his first MLS season, and he just ran with the opportunity. So good, probably the best right back in MLS, getting these constant USMNT call-ups and delivering on the international stage. And Tanner Tessman, I mean, we had people saying that he should be a center back. And I think it's clear that if you've been watching him since the Venezia days, he has cemented himself as really a wall in the midfield. Just so solid in pretty much every aspect of the game. He adds so much to the USMNT, and I think people are finally starting to come around to the fact that he should be a USMNT player and maybe even a starter. I honestly think right now, if the World Cup was today, I would start him in the midfield. Maybe that's a hot take. We have a lot of other capable players, but I just think that Tessman adds so much to this national team. And then there was some other chances in there, some other moments that we got close, but ultimately that was it. 5-1 USA Uruguay, the best performance under Pochettino, the best performance under USMNT in quite some time. And now let's get into the individual player performances, and we'll start, of course, with the goalkeeper, Matt Friis. And I think it has to be said, Matt Friis, in my opinion, is the only player that played tonight that actually came out of this with a lower stock than they did coming into it. The only player who hurt themselves or didn't help themselves in this game. For the goal, obviously, there's nothing he can do to stop the bicycle kick. Beautiful, beautiful finish by Ascaeta. But in the build-up to that, he came out and just couldn't deal with the ball. He was very shaky in commanding his box. And ultimately, I think that goal probably could have been avoided if not for some of the things that he did leading up to that goal. So I do have to say, not his best performance. He continues to be a goalkeeper that isn't necessarily going to win us games, but has the potential to lose us games, which is a concern. And not faulting him, I'm not trying to say that he shouldn't be the USMNT starter, because truthfully, we don't have anybody better right now. I mean, you look at Matt Turner, who just his confidence is completely gone. He's back in MLS. You have, I guess, Patrick Schulte, Klinsmann, Celentano, Zach Steffen. I don't think any of them right now deserve to be playing over Matt Friis. It's just a big area of concern for me, along with the center back position, that could potentially come back to bite us in the World Cup. And hopefully, I'm optimistic going forward, 2030 and beyond, we have someone step up. We have so many talented young goalkeepers. If you look at the youth national teams, that I believe the future of the goalkeeper position is in great hands. The present, not so much. So hopefully Friis can learn from that mistake that he made and build on it and be better in March, because I think it's clear by now he's going to be the starting goalkeeper for the rest of the cycle. Now on to the center backs, and we'll start with the right center back, the man who I think was man of the match, who got given man of the match. It was very close between him and Berhalter, but Freeman, 2 goals, his first 2 for the country, and just absolutely incredible performance from him. Despite how good he's been with Orlando City, I think this was his best performance of the season, which is saying something against such a high-quality opposition. And we even saw it over the summer. I think it was his debut with the USMNT as the youngest player in the roster against Turkey. Yes, we lost that game, but he absolutely locked up a incredibly, incredibly good winger. I think some people would even potentially say world-class winger in Kenan Yildiz, one of the best in all of Serie A for Juventus, and Freeman had no problem with him. And I think that was the first sign to people who maybe weren't so familiar with him that this is going to be a serious player for the USMNT going forward. And he has had some ups and downs. I think his downs were more so up to his tactical, maybe naivety as such a young player. But you have to just give him time. He's still only 21 years old, and he showed today why he is deserving of a USMNT spot. And I'm really intrigued now to see him at that right center back spot, because he does like to get forward, as you could see by, of course, him scoring goals, and of course his goal and assist record for Orlando, and even going back in MLS Next Pro as well. He likes getting forward. He's very good going forward. But I think that right center back spot, especially in Poch's system, where, as you've seen in the past, we had Miles Robinson playing there, and he was getting so far forward, and it was kind of leaving us vulnerable because he couldn't really get back, and he didn't really offer much going forward. Freeman can do both. And he, I think, is probably my starter at the right center back position. I think that maybe that's crazy to say, but as of now, I would be starting him at right center back going forward for this cycle. Again, if the World Cup started today, he's one of the three in the back three that I want. And for all the people who maybe looked at his frame and his physical profile and said, oh, well, he's got the physical attributes, he's not necessarily so technical, well, I redirect you to the second goal. I don't think any non-technical player could do that especially against Barcelona center back Ronald Araujo, who is obviously he's been shaky for club in recent years, but I mean, he's playing for Barcelona. He's one of the best center backs in world football, and Freeman just absolutely embarrassed him. Excellent performance, man of the match, cemented his roster spot. McKenzie and Trusty, I'll do them together because I was campaigning after the Paraguay match. I was very confused why they didn't start because, of course, they were products of the Philadelphia Union Academy. The game was at the Union Stadium. Trusty actually brought out I think it was 2,000 friends and family to see the match, and he didn't even get to play. I felt really bad for him, and honestly, just looking at the center backs we started in that game, I really thought McKenzie and Trusty could have made a difference. They come into the lineup today, and wow, did they make a difference. So solid at the back, and especially Trusty. I'll highlight him because going forward, he made the right pass every single time. And I think maybe that's one of the good things, one of the only good things I would say about being at Celtic. And I say that not as a dig at Celtics, just because their league is so poor. And usually, I mean, they're dominating. This year, it's been a little bit different. They've had some struggles, but at Celtic, they always have the ball. And if you look at CCV in particular, when he's playing for them, his passing stats, he's completing 100 passes a game. It's incredible. Learning how to pass the ball as a center back is so crucial, especially if you're going to try to play out of the back like we do. And Austin Trusty has been learning that at Celtic, and it showed today. Of course, he got that assist. But also he had some other very well-aware balls that I already mentioned when I was talking about the goals. Was a key part of the attack today, even as a center back. And I think he has also cemented himself, not as a starter necessarily for the U.S., but as a player who absolutely should be in the roster going forward. And McKenzie as well. He didn't necessarily have as flashy of a game, but I thought he was very solid defensively, always making life difficult for the Uruguayan attackers in the rare instances that they did get the ball forward. And I think, again, he has cemented himself. Right now, I talked about Freeman. If I were to start a back three for the World Cup, it would be Freeman at right center back, Richards in the middle, and McKenzie at left center back, with Austin Trusty, probably Tim Ream, and I would say Noah Kai Banks, maybe Joe Scally as the three center backs to come off of the bench. I think the entire back three hopefully has solidified themselves as USMNT roster players, because I think they're all good enough and can offer something in the World Cup. Now, going to the wing backs, we have Serginho Dest. He obviously got that assist on the Berhalter goal, laying it back perfectly for Seb. And I think it just showed how his quality, I mean, he was completing dribbles. He played so well in the advanced position. And I think one of the key things about Dest is that in the past, as a right back in a back four, his defensive flaws can get punished sometimes. But as a right wing back, especially when you have someone like Alex Freeman behind you, Dest can afford to maybe make a mistake or two defensively higher up the pitch. And honestly, I don't think he did in this game. I think he was very, very solid defensively. And I think that we have finally found a system that plays to his strength. I think it's pretty clear if you watch him for club and country that he's not really an out-and-out right back. He's not really an out-and-out winger either. Playing as a right wing back in this back three/back five situation, I think is the perfect spot for him. And honestly, if Jedi Robinson is ever okay from his injury, because that has been going on for so long, I think it fits him well as well on the left-hand side. I mean, I think you see the season that Jedi had last season, 10 assists, the most for a defender in the Premier League. I think he was actually third in all players in the Premier. He offers so much going forward as well. And of course, so defensively solid and so quick, which is another big thing. As a wingback, you have to be able to get up and down the pitch very quick. Dest and Jedi can both do that. And I think it's why this system is so perfect for us. And it also hides, like I've been saying, our defensive flaws in terms of center backs, because it adds an extra one in there to provide more defensive stability at the back. And even if you want to look at the backups for these positions, I would say right now Tim Weah is probably their backup at right wing back, unless you want to play Freeman there. But I think right now he's more suited to play as a right center back in this system. I think it fits Weah as well. Obviously, he plays wingback for club. He's been kind of shifted in the past few years between playing winger, between playing fullback, between playing wingback, and I think wingback is probably the right spot for him. I think it suits him as well as Dest, as well as Jedi. And if you look at the left-hand side, if it suits Max Arfston, we've been seeing that. He's been proving the doubters wrong, including myself, with his performances, specifically going forward. I still think he has a lot to work on defensively, but you saw that Paraguay game, of course, setting up the Gio Reyna goal. And he's got 5 assists since coming into the national team. That's not a coincidence. Playing as left wing back definitely suits him more than the back four. And John Tolkien as well plays as a wing back for club for Holstein Kiel in the 2 Bundesliga, now this 5 Bundesliga after they got relegated. And over the summer, I wanted Tolkien to get a chance so badly, but it was always Arfston. Arfston was the one player who it seemed Pochettino would not rotate. And yes, obviously, I think Arfston has now proven himself as being the solidified backup to Jedi, of course, assuming Jedi is healthy going forward. But I think Tolkien, if for some reason Jedi Robinson cannot go at the World Cup, I think Tolkien has probably earned his spot as that next guy up with this performance. I thought he was really, really good creating things going forward. He did this one move on the sideline where he kind of just like flicked the ball up and over the foot of the Uruguayan defender. And it's something that I actually also saw him do when he was playing against Switzerland, actually, I think it was in the summer. In that game we got embarrassed in, he started at left back. I thought he was one of the only bright spots actually in that game. I was actually at the game, not a fun one to be at, by the way. But I saw him do something similar, and he did it again, and it just, he always seems to find the most creative ways to get out of trouble. Obviously it had some involvement in the build up to one of the goals as well, and I think that I would be sad to see him left off the World Cup roster. I would understand it if we have Jedi and Max Arfston there. But if one of them isn't able to go, if one of them is injured or for some reason can't go, and we want to bring another fullback on the left-hand side, I think John Tolkien should be the next guy up. I think he definitely helped himself with his performance. Now, next up, the double pivot, Aidan Morris and Sebastian Berhalter. Now, before the game, I tweeted out a TikTok that they did back when they were in the Crew Academy. It got quite a lot of traction because I said that it probably wasn't going to be so fun of a night with them as our double pivot. Just go back and watch that TikTok. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It was very, very funny. But they proved me wrong. They shut me up. It was quite funny seeing a lot of even the official MLS account tweeted back at me. Freezing cold takes retweeted it. And I've never been so happy to be proved wrong, because what a performance in the midfield by these two, specifically Berhalter. I mentioned it was between him and Freeman from end of the match for me. You can't go wrong with either of them. I personally would give it to Freeman. That's who the award ended up going to, but Berhalter solidified himself as a USMNT World Cup player with his play, of course, his set piece ability and his mentality. It's just everything you can ask for as a locker room guy, to be honest. And of course, he backed it up with his play on the field. So Berhalter, I'm sorry I doubted you. Your dad, I still honestly don't quite like him, but really, really good performance from him, and I'm happy to see him in the USMNT going forward. Aidan Morris as well. I've been critical of Aidan Morris for the USMNT in the past, mainly going back to the 2023 Gold Cup. He got called up, really wasn't good against Jamaica, if you recall, and then had to leave camp in the group stage. Due to, I think there was a family emergency that he had. And then since then, his performances for the USMNT, I think he also played in that Canada game, was really poor over the Nations League. But he has been really good this past 2 camps. I thought that while he had that mistake on the Ecuador goal, maybe being a little bit naive and making an unnecessary lunge that ended up backfiring on us, I think the rest of that game, he was very solid. He was pretty much everywhere, trying to put out fires and create something the other way. He showed his tenacity and his real willingness to contribute. And I think in this camp, in this game in particular, obviously he didn't play much against Paraguay, but he was very, very solid. Obviously he got outshone by Berhalter because of the goal and the assist, but Morris was very solid in the midfield, doing his job to perfection. And if you look at the options we have for the double pivot, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Tanner Tessman, Aidan Morris, Johnny Cardoso, Sebastian Berhalter, Christian Roldan. I never thought I'd be saying some of these names, but we are absolutely stacked and loaded at that position. You even have guys like James Sands that have come into camp in the past. You have guys like Leonard Maloney, who I think is now playing as a center back that, by the way, if we want another center back, Leonard Maloney could be someone to try out. But you have Santiago Castaneda, who's playing pretty well with Paderborn in the second division in Germany, looking like he might get promoted. There are so many guys in this position that are capable of coming in, and it has left guys like Yunus Musa as a complete afterthought. And all I have to say about Yunus Musa is I bet he is really, really regretting skipping the Gold Cup, because I think that has cost him his place in the USMNT. And it has to be said, he doesn't deserve to get back into the national team, at least this cycle. But now moving forward to the 210s, and then we'll do the striker and the subs. Tim Tillman and Diego Luna. Honestly, I think it's crazy because as the 210s, as the two creative focal points, you would have to assume in this formation. I mean, we saw how good guys like Reina can be in this position. Last game, I thought Aronson was solid last game as well. Pulisic, of course, plays here. Malik Tillman has excelled in this play. But I thought that Tim Tillman and Luna, honestly, were two of the least impressive. Not to say that they weren't good. And, of course, Luna scored that goal. Tillman had two huge moments building up to the goals. Of course, he played the cross for Luna's goal and then had that monster tackle that led to Freeman's second goal. But I honestly thought that if you looked at the rest of the game, Tim Tillman did show why he probably shouldn't be here for the long run. I very much appreciate what he did. I thought he had overall probably more good than bad. But I mean, if you look at, like I mentioned, the quality of players that we have to play that role, I just don't think that there's a spot for Tim Tillman, unfortunately. But good performance from him. I think he did a lot better than most of us were expecting. And then Diego Luna, honestly, outside of the goal, I thought he was very quiet, but he showed up in the crucial moment, got there around the penalty spot, and slotted it home for our fourth goal. He always seems to contribute with the goals and assists for the national team. It's been a little quieter since the summer. I think the hype has died down a little bit, especially as other guys have come back into the national team and shown their quality, like Pulisic. But I do think that Luna will be on the World Cup roster for his mentality. Again, I think Poch absolutely fell in love with him over January camp, where he broke his nose and stayed in the game, delivered an assist. And ever since then, Poch has been enamored with him, and rightfully so. He has the mentality. Him and Berhalter are the two who, if the rest of the team had that mentality, and I think it's starting to grow now, it's going to be very, very scary and very exciting for us going forward. And then Haji Wright, definitely his quietest game, I think, for the USMNT in quite a while. If you look at his stats, very unimpressive, but I do think he did some things right as a striker. Of course, he drew that foul that was crucial. It led to the Sebastian Berhalter goal to put us up 1-0. And of course, he scored a brace against Australia just last camp. So not to say that Haji Wright is in danger. I think he's probably the third striker. I think we will bring three. Balogun obviously has solidified himself by now as the out-and-out starter. I think Ricardo Pepi is definitely still the primary backup, despite that horrible chance that he missed against Paraguay, and Haji Wright as the third. If you want to swap Haji and Pepi, honestly, I'm not too mad at it, just because of the lack of involvement that Pepi has had with the national team due to some injuries. Hopefully, he can get a more extended run in March, because that'll be kind of the last chance before the summer to see him play in the national team, and I don't think he's going to get much minutes in the summer because Balogun will be starting pretty much every game. I'd like to see Pepi get a run out in that window to see if he or Haji essentially should be the number two coming off the bench. But Haji, definitely a quiet game. I think one of the least impressive players, but once again, not to say he was bad. And I think he probably, over the last two windows, has solidified his spot as well in the roster. Now, looking at the subs, Balogun came on and didn't really do much, but he scored the goal, of course, against Paraguay that won us the game. Also was kind of quiet in that game, but his quality shone through. And if you look at last camp against Ecuador in particular, he was an absolute monster in that game. I'm very happy to have him as our USMNT number one striker. Gio Reyna came on, and the haters might think they had a night off after what an incredible performance we had in the first half. He comes on and joins in on the fun, gets an assist after the goal against Paraguay. Perfectly weighted ball to Tanner Tessman. Both of them were fantastic, and I think both of them have a very, very important role to play with the USMNT for the rest of this cycle. Like I said, I already said I think Tanner Tessman should be starting for this national team. I'm not sure whether I'm ready to go there for Reyna just yet, considering that Pulisic and Tillman are in his position, but having him as an impact sub off the bench, doing things that almost nobody else in our pool can do, yeah, I'm very excited with the depth that we have now in a lot of the positions on the pitch that I probably would not have said a few months ago. Then Arfston also came on. Aronson also came on. Roldan also came on. Not a lot to mention for them. Arfston was just concise and safe, kept the ball. Aronson, more of the same from him. He had one really nice track back and tackle that, if you look at his stats, it's not actually in the stat sheet, but it was probably like 5 to 10 minutes after he came on. Arston got beat just because he was too high up the pitch. Trusty wasn't there, but Aronson came back, tracked back, won the ball. I think that he is a really good defensive sub to make in the number 10 position if we're trying to hold a lead late in the game. He's a guy who I think has a role with the USMNT. Arston, of course, I already talked about when mentioning the left wing back position, and then Roldan, he was on for like 2 minutes, didn't really have a chance to do much. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the player performances from Uruguay. Let me know in the comments, do you want a video recapping the entire camp as a whole? Because we didn't make a video after the Paraguay game. You may have noticed by now that we haven't uploaded in the last month or so. Yuri hasn't been in videos in quite a while. Unfortunately, just due to his schedule, he's probably not going to be in videos for the foreseeable future. I think at least for the rest of the calendar year. It's not something that either of us want. He wants to be in videos. I really want him to be in videos. I'm sure you guys all want him to be in videos as well, but he just can't really find time for it right now. He's been, this is a very important moment for him in his personal life, and he's very, very busy with his work and other things. So for now, obviously, we hope that we'll have him back as soon as possible. And especially going into the World Cup, we definitely want to have him back. But for now, it's just going to be me, whether you like it or not. Maybe we'll look to bring in guests on videos here and there, especially like bigger ones. But yeah, for now, for the foreseeable future, it's just going to be me. But the content will be coming back. I have a lot of ideas for videos to do. We still need to recap the U20 World Cup and analyze those players. Probably going to be 2 separate videos on that. The U17 World Cup as well. Probably another 2 separate videos. What I'll do is I'll have an analysis of the full World Cup for each of those. And then I'll also have a video ranking the prospects. If you recall, last summer, we did a similar thing with the Olympics and rated the players based on their potential to be USMNT quality players. I'm going to do the same thing for the U20s and then the same thing for the U17s. So you're not going to want to miss that. Stay tuned. And then we'll also have a roster prediction for the 2026 World Cup after this incredible camp that has, I think, officially turned around the views of the entire fan base for the USMNT. I'm very excited for what the future holds. Definitely are not going to want to miss the next few weeks of our content. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this incredible performance and how excited you are for the World Cup, because I officially cannot wait, honestly. But until next time, we'll see you. Hope you have a great day, and stay tuned for our videos, potentially recapping this camp. And then next up, predicting the World Cup roster, because there's going to be a lot of tough decisions to make for Poch.